the minimum wage lie that destroys jobs. Welcome back to another deep dive into the world of economics and freedom. Today, we're tackling a hot-button issue that's been debated for decades: government-mandated minimum wages. From a libertarian standpoint, this is one of those policies that sounds noble on the surface but ends up causing more harm than good. We'll explore why forcing wage floors through laws disrupts the natural flow of voluntary exchanges and hurts the very people it's supposed to protect. Stick around as we unpack the real story behind these mandates and why letting markets handle things leads to better outcomes for everyone. Before we continue unpacking the realities of minimum wage mandates, a quick note. If any part of this resonates with you, whether it's a key historical insight or a clear economic principle, please like the episode, share it with others who value liberty, and follow for more discussions like this one. Your support keeps these conversations going. Now let's dive deeper. Alright, let's ease into this without giving away all the punches. Imagine a world where entry-level jobs are plentiful, where young folks or those just starting out can hop into the workforce, gain skills, and climb up without artificial barriers. Now picture policies that claim to boost pay but instead create roadblocks, making it tougher for businesses to hire and for workers to find opportunities. We'll see how these rules ignore basic economic realities, leading to fewer chances for growth and more reliance on machines or outsourcing. It's a tale of good intentions paving a path to unintended chaos, but one where innovation and free choices could turn things around. Now, diving right into the heart of it, let's lay out the core problems with these wage mandates. At their essence, they act like price controls on labor, setting an artificial floor that doesn't match what the market would naturally determine based on supply, demand, and individual productivity. When governments step in and say you can't hire someone for less than a certain amount, it prices out workers whose skills or experience don't yet justify that cost to employers. This leads straight to higher unemployment, especially among teenagers, minorities, and low-skilled individuals who are often the first to lose out. For instance, back in the mid-1950s, when the federal mandate jumped from 75 cents to $1 an hour, unemployment rates for black teenagers spiked to around 24%, while white teens hit 14%. That's not coincidence. It's the direct result of making it uneconomical for businesses to take a chance on unproven workers. Instead of building resumes through real-world gigs, these folks end up sidelined, missing out on the stepping stones that lead to higher-paying roles down the line. And it's not just about job losses. These laws violate the fundamental right to voluntary contracts. In a truly free system, employers and employees negotiate terms that work for both sides. No coercion involved. But when the state enforces a one-size-fits-all wage, it's like banning people from making deals that suit their situations. Maybe a young person wants to work for less to gain experience in a competitive field, or a small business owner offers lower pay but with perks like flexible hours or training. Mandates crush that freedom, turning what should be mutual agreements into rigid, top-down commands. This isn't just theoretical. History shows how such interventions during tough times, like the Great Depression, prolonged hardships by keeping people out of work longer than necessary. The 1938 Fair Labor Standards Act, which set the first national floor, was sold as a fix for poverty, but it ended up excluding whole swaths of the workforce, particularly in agriculture and domestic roles where minorities were overrepresented, deepening inequality rather than solving it. Moving deeper into the themes and analysis, let's talk about how these mandates distort the entire economy. They can't repeal the laws of supply and demand any more than you can ignore gravity. When labor costs are artificially hiked, businesses don't just absorb it, they adapt. Prices for goods and services go up to cover the extra expense, creating a vicious cycle where everything gets more expensive, eroding the purchasing power of those higher wages. It's like chasing your tail. The raise ends up being eaten by inflation. But here's where it gets really insidious. To stay competitive, companies turn to automation, new inventions, and machines. Think about self-checkout kiosks in grocery stores or automated ordering systems in restaurants. These aren't born from thin air. They're direct responses to mandates that make human labor too costly. AI and robotics are accelerating this shift, replacing entry-level positions with tech that doesn't demand benefits or overtime. What was once a job for a human stocking shelves or flipping burgers becomes a role for a robot arm or software algorithm. Proponents might claim this helps workers by forcing businesses to innovate, but that's backward reasoning. It destroys opportunities for humans, especially those without advanced skills, pushing them toward welfare or under-the-table work. Instead of nurturing a workforce through organic growth, it accelerates a divide where only the tech-savvy thrive, leaving others behind. Now, some might argue that without these floors, exploitation would run rampant, with wages plummeting to poverty levels. But that's a myth rooted in fear, not facts. In a free market, competition for talent drives wages up naturally. Employers who pay poorly lose workers to better offers, and productivity gains from tools and education lift everyone. Look at industries without heavy mandates, tech startups or freelance gigs, where pay reflects value added, not government edicts. And if we're worried about poverty, direct aid like earned income credits rewards work without distorting hiring. But mandates? They backfire spectacularly. Take international cases. In places like Puerto Rico in the 1970s, when U.S. federal wages were imposed without regard for local economics, unemployment soared to over 20%, crippling small enterprises and forcing reliance on federal transfers. Or consider Seattle's push to higher wages in the 2010s. Studies showed reduced hours and earnings for low-wage workers. As businesses cut back to cope, automation stepped in, think delivery drones or app-based services, replacing jobs that could have been human-held. AI chatbots handling customer service? That's the future these policies hasten, not some distant sci-fi. Machines don't strike, don't need breaks, and scale infinitely, but they also don't spend in the local economy like people do. So, the net effect is a hollowed-out job market, where innovation serves cost-cutting over human flourishing. Another big theme is how these laws disproportionately harm vulnerable groups, turning supposed protections into barriers. For the disabled or those re-entering the workforce after setbacks, mandates make it impossible for employers to offer flexible, lower starting pays that account for training needs. Instead, positions vanish, swapped for automated solutions like voice-activated systems or robotic assistants. Historical parallels abound. During the post-World War II era, as wages were hiked, youth unemployment climbed, delaying their economic independence and skill building. Bolshevism and communism often push these interventions under the guise of equality, but they lead to centralized control that stifles innovation. Authority-oriented regimes might enforce them for political gain, but in free systems we see wages rise through competition and capital investment. Think how factory machines in the Industrial Revolution boosted productivity and pay without mandates. Today, AI tools like predictive algorithms optimize workflows, allowing higher voluntary wages, but mandates force premature adoption, killing jobs en masse. Let's pull in some powerful quotes to drive this home. Ludwig von Mises, a key figure in Austrian economics, once said, "The minimum wage rate deprives the worker of the possibility to compete on the labor market." That nails it. It's not about helping, it's about excluding. Or consider Milton Friedman from the 1960s. The high rate of unemployment among teenagers, and especially among minorities, is both a scandal and a serious source of social unrest. Yet it is largely a result of minimum wage laws. He saw how these policies create barriers, not bridges. And Henry Hazlitt put it bluntly, "You cannot make a man worth a given amount by making it illegal for anyone to offer him anything less. You merely deprive him of the right to earn the amount that his abilities and situation would permit him to earn." These insights from historical thinkers highlight the timeless folly of ignoring market signals. Wrapping this up, if you're convinced by now that government wage mandates do more damage than good, fueling unemployment, spurring automation at the expense of human jobs, and violating personal freedoms, then the path forward is clear. Embrace free markets where wages reflect true value and innovation lifts all boats. Ditch the coercive floors and let voluntary exchanges flourish. You'll see more jobs, real wage growth through productivity, and a society where AI and machines complement workers, not replace them prematurely. Keep questioning the status quo and championing liberty. Stay unbrainwashed. Stay free.